Great answer. They won't go away quietly. A loser liberal reporter, Major League Baseball gave into the hysteria of the times. They gave into the hysteria in 2021. Let's not put common sense in. Let's get nuts. Don't play your silly games anymore, lady. You know, my boys here, Davey and Nick, said it perfectly. They won't go away quietly. They're just not going to go away quietly. What's not going to go away quietly? Well, let me explain it to you. With the MLB All-Star Game festivities taking place in Atlanta this week, a loser liberal reporter injected her own political beliefs into a line of questioning directed at Dodgers manager Davey Roberts, who was on stage with Pat McAfee and Paul Skeens and asked how they felt about playing in the state despite no changes to the state's disenfranchising voter laws that led the Major League Baseball to move the All-Star Game in 2021 out of Atlanta to Denver as a result of a woke public outcry. Here is the question, the answer, and everything else.
Down here.
The All-Star Game was moved out of Atlanta in 21 because of a law that former President Biden described as Jim Crow in the 21st century, and it was framed as a protest. Dave, in the 2021 MLB Network special on Stop Asian Hate, you said, and I quote, "I think it's just being relentless with our voices. This is not something that's just an isolated moment in time that we're talking about. It's something that needs to be talked about on an ongoing basis and be relentless with it." What happened to being relentless with it, and why are we still in Atlanta when this is on books?
I believe the question was a political question about laws that are on the books and everything like that. And the All-Star Game was taken out, now it's brought back. Interesting. I don't know if any of us are the experts or the ones that should be giving answers on that, but respect and appreciate the way you feel about it. And I would assume that there was a reason or some conversation that was had by the MLB and the state that all parties thought that this would be a wonderful host city for the All-Star Game. And I think everybody is all very excited to be back in the beautiful city of Atlanta.
Great answer. Great answer. You know, it is amazing. Okay, everybody's mad. Well, not everybody. Woke reporters are still mad. Here's Dave Roberts' answer to it.
Do you have any thoughts on Atlanta hosting the All-Star Game whenever there was obviously some conversations in the past, I believe, right?
I think Pat answered it perfect, and honestly, I appreciate the question. I appreciate your thoughts. I do feel that I'm excited to be here. I think that it's a great city. I think baseball fans are excited to be here and celebrate these great athletes. I'm not a politician. I do feel that everyone has their right to voice thoughts, but right now I really choose to just focus on the players and the game and be excited to be here. And for me, to be able to manage these guys and to manage against these guys, I'm honored. So I don't want to get into the politics. But thank you.
Everybody's got to say thank you. They really want to say something but it isn't thank. Look, let's be honest. Major League Baseball gave into the hysteria of the times. They did. They gave into the hysteria in 2021. Whether or not you agree or you disagree with the laws, Major League Baseball gave into hysteria. Now, most people think doing whatever you can to have fair elections is important, and most people would think that getting an ID to vote is common sense. You go to your local bank, which I go to twice a month, and then twice a month I always show an ID to the same person that I've known 100 years. Getting an ID, showing an ID is just common sense. And I think I'll answer the reporter's question with this. Number one, we're not playing your silly games anymore. That's Pete Hegseth. That's a great line. We're not playing your silly games. We're not playing these gotcha games anymore. And number two, I think most people would feel that whatever would need to be done to have a fair, safe election is what is needed to be done. And I'm guessing folks decided after looking at the law, this law makes sense, so they kept it on the books. But the idea that Pete Hegseth said, we're not playing your silly games any longer, can be turned around on me numerous ways. But you get the point. They looked at it. People brought it up. It was looked at. It stayed on the books. There you go. Good for people. I'll be like Pat and Dave Roberts. I'll be like people. Yeah, good for you. Thank you for asking such an important question. It was looked at, obviously, stayed on the books, and away we go. All right, here's a little bit. The problem is the quote came from a Stop Asian Hate event. Now, that's what Dave Roberts was referring to, not voter law. And Roberts was talking about attacks on Asian Americans, and this reporter did what reporters do, spun it to her own narrative. Roberts, whose mother is Japanese, spoke passionately about the topic. It's unclear why the, quote, reporter chose to use his comment, which had nothing to do with Georgia voting laws. She used it to frame her question. A quick Google search would have provided her with a much better Roberts quote, one that actually pertained to the issue at hand. Also in 2021, Roberts said he would consider declining to manage the National League in the All-Star Game if the event remained in Atlanta, adding, when you're trying to restrict African-American votes, American citizens, that's alarming for me to hear. Once the MLB decided to move the All-Star Game out of Atlanta, Roberts said he supported the decision. Turns out the reporter in question is someone named Jen Ramos-Ison, who apparently writes for some website called The Defector, which posted an article last week titled, How Trans People Are Dealing with the Trump Administration's Attacks. So you know where this reporter is. My thing is simple, man. My thing is simple. Do yourself a favor. Bring up the issue. You brought it up. I mean, you'd be a fool in Atlanta in 2021 or in Georgia in 2021 not to look at it. So that's what they did. Law remained on the books. Understand this. Because a bunch of people get together and protest a law does not mean that that law is wrong. It means they disagree with that law. It means they don't like that law. And we've all seen, and we certainly saw in 2021, where folks that don't agree with something go out of their way, as this woman does, to spin it towards their narrative, to be hysterical about it, to be hyperbolic about it, to be, in fact, crazy about it. Because when you can't get to certain facts and you're so ate up that you are going to lie, misrepresent, or any other words you want to use, it's just not right. It's crazy. So, bottom line, Atlanta and Georgia, Governor Brian Kemp says we're back on track. They looked at it, and they decided this law made sense. Disagree, great. Agree, great. But as Pete Heggs has said, lady, we ain't here to play your silly games anymore. Good for you with the gotcha. But you look stupid because you quoted the man on something that wasn't relative to your topic. I'm not surprised. Nobody's surprised. You cannot be surprised because this is part of the hysteria that was going on from about, 18 or 19 to 2022, 23? That's the hysteria. Oh, my God. We disagree with something. Let's make damn sure we interject race. Let's not put common sense in. Let's get nuts. Don't play your silly games anymore, lady. The time is up for your silly games. Good for Dave Roberts. Good for Pat McAfee. Just move it along. It's the best thing to do. Hey, I appreciate your question, but I ain't going to answer it in the way you want. Not going to happen. No, sir. Zero chance. No shot. None. Zero. Zip. Nada. Okay. We'll move it along. Hey, just wanted to make sure that you know we appreciate you watching our stuff. Not only our stuff, but all the great content here on the OutKick Network. We know you do. Just make sure you head on over to youtube.com/@OutKick/videos to like, comment, and subscribe. Please feel free. Rip me. That way you'll never miss any of our great content, whether it's me or whether it's Ricky or whether it's Hot Mike or whether it's Clay. or whether it's Riley Gaines, Tyrese is on there once in a while. You know, it is what it is. And we love having you here. All right. Greatest coach in the history of college football is about to make a comeback. Yeah, he is. Speculation about Nick Saban making a return to the sidelines has been the talk of the college football world after Saban's former championship-winning quarterback, friend of mine, current ESPN Sane analyst, Greg McElroy, made some very interesting comments Monday morning. Listen to this. Is the coach coming back? Hey, this is a little bit out of left field, McElroy said, but the question was asked of me, of a very much in-the-know person that I have a lot of respect for and have spent a lot of time around and just really, really admire. They seem to think Coach Saban, Nick Saban's not done coaching. I had a similar reaction. He's pretty adamant that he thinks Nick Saban will be coaching again. Look, if it wasn't somebody notable, I'd never say a word. Greg McElroy is really good at his job. Greg McElroy is really good at life. Great family man, fantastic professional, you name it, he's got it. He doesn't just throw out nonsense. Now, here's what happens when you're Greg McElroy. This happens with me at Indiana basketball. You tell people because you know people what may seem far-fetched, but you know it's true, or you know it's likely. And then down the road, after they're done calling you a moron and saying you don't know anything and blah, 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 they're like, happened. I get that all the time. Greg does too. Asked about who the source is. Well, McElroy mentioned that if it wasn't somebody notable, I would never say a word. While nobody knows exactly who Greg McElroy is talking about, it should be noted that McElroy is also a coworker of Nick Saban's. Here's the deal. Let me give this to you from Nick Saban's standpoint. When I've been out of coaching a long time, and when I talk to coaches, and I do almost every day, we always talk. They always say, "What do you miss the most?" I always give the same answer: winning. There's nothing like winning as a player. There's nothing like winning as a player, but winning as a coach is second. Now, it ain't great when you compare it to losing. Winning is here in terms of emotion. Losing is way up there in terms of emotion, misery. Losing to me was like death. But when you're out of coaching, you really don't think about that. Think about, I miss winning, the competition. You don't remember how miserable you were after a loss, how, in my opinion, I got severe depression, almost died. True story. My father always told me, man, if you ever lose, it's going to kill you. And he wasn't wrong. Coaches, fans think that the only uber competitive guys that are guys like Michael Jordan. No, man. Coaches are doing that every day. You can't swing a dead cat around a coach and not have some type of competition going on, at least the ones that I knew. McElroy, back to him, followed up. He did. He followed up this by saying, personally, he doesn't think Saban is returning to coaching. I don't think he is either, but would it surprise me? Well, no, nothing would surprise me. Certainly wouldn't shock me. And he's got a great gig. He's got a great gig. Saturday, that's the show, right? Game day and big noon kickoff, those are the shows. And he and Pat Mack have made that show. They brought that show back. And it's in competition now with the big noon kickoff because Urban and the fellas are doing a great job as well. So we'll see. But no, I can't imagine at his age that he wants to go do that. But there is only so much golf that you can play. All right, Lane Kiffin, who is the offensive coordinator for Saban at Alabama, he was asked about and had this to say about Saban's future and a potential return to coaching during SEC Media Days. Here's Lane Kiffin.
I haven't seen Nick Saban here with a credential yet or anything this year, but if he ever got the itch that he wanted to come back into college football, which sometimes happens when people join our side of the camera, would you consider hiring him for a position?
he's not going to hire him. So I don't think he's done. You didn't really ask that, but I don't think he's done that. He'll be back, whether that's college or NFL. I think he'll be back.
All right, there you go. Yeah, I'd hire him. I need a GA. That would have been a great answer. No, that would have been really good. Later, Lane Kiffin on the SEC Network discussed the matter again, and he said, I kind of think it'll be the NFL. And I don't know. Why would you? I don't see Nick Saban coming back. I don't see Nick Saban saying, you know what, I'm tired of dealing with the nonsense at ESPN, because he doesn't have to put up with the nonsense at ESPN. Nick Saban doesn't really go in studio, does he? Nick Saban is usually on site. And when you go on site as Nick Saban, it's really no different, maybe even more attention, more clamoring, because you're out among the people more. You're standing on the sideline watching a football game and you don't have a headset on. You're not concentrating. The adulation for Nick Saban, I'm sure some of the hate for Nick Saban has never been louder than when he now goes into a stadium. People love him now because he's really good on TV and he's really successful and people admire that. But I don't think that he is going to go. I would say if I were him, I'd probably want to go to the NFL. I mean, he has unfinished business in the NFL. Colts may have a job opening here at the end of the year. Who knows? Maybe he ends up here. Maybe Kalen Irsay, who has done a nice job already of cleaning out some of the people that have been here and contributed to the losing in the Colts, maybe that would be interesting. Who knows? Maybe he likes in Tennessee. You don't know what's going to happen with Callahan. You got a young quarterback, developing franchise. Who knows? I don't think it's going to happen. But I like the fact that SEC coaches like Lane Kiffin are still asked about this, and the specter of Saban hovers over these meetings. I kind of dig it. I do. I think it's all right. Yeah, what about Miami? They're telling me, hey, Mike McDaniel, fired. Would they want to run it back with Saban? Man, I don't think so. Maybe. Like, how are you going to tell Nick Saban no? Apparently, they had no problem telling Bill Belichick no. How are you going to tell Nick Saban no? Hey, Coach, we love you. You were here before. It didn't work out. I know it's different. I know you're different. But hey, you know what? You and Miss Sally, or whatever his wife's misname is, whatever the hell it is, enjoy your day. I don't know, man. One coach who has had more success than most against Nick Saban is, of course, the great Hugh Freeze. Hugh Freeze, who is on life support. Good words right here, fellas, as the head coach of Auburn football. He's heading into pivotal year 3 at the helm, and Freeze had to spend the past weekend defending his decision to play what? Golf. Furious Auburn fans. Furious, believing he isn't putting in the work or the effort necessary to bring Auburn football back to the upper echelon of the sport. This is bad. When you have to defend how hard you work, that is really, really bad in coaching. There's a saying in coaching, make them think you get up at 5 in the morning and you can sleep till 11. You got to go the opposite way. Numerous coaches in every sport, I don't care if it's basketball, football, baseball, I don't care, in college got jobs because they were seen as, quote, tireless recruiters. The tireless recruiter guy is the one that the athletic director wants to hire because he's the one that will be like, look, I hired the hardest working guy. So-and-so, such and such, and who's a majig, said this guy is the hardest working guy. Look at him go. His reputation precedes him as the hardest working coach in college football, basketball, baseball, soccer, whatever. But when it's the other way, oh, man, you got a problem. You got a serious, serious problem. If people don't think you work hard enough, and you're making millions, and you're their team, and they're out there working hard enough, you got a problem. You got personal problems with the fans. It's personal. I outwork you. You're coaching a freaking kids game, but you're making $9 million, and I'm making $9 an hour. That is personal to people. I've seen it. I have seen it. Making matters worse, Matt Stahl had an article in AL.com, which is basically Alabama's newspaper. It's got all the different tentacles. It noted that Freeze played a lot of golf in June, a month in which programs lost several blue-chip prospects. So he's playing golf, and he's losing blue-chip prospects in the same month. Now, can you play golf? Saban did. Can you play golf and still coach football? Of course. Can you play golf? Urban Meyer did. And still coach at a really high level? Absolutely. Dean Smith, Bob Knight in basketball played golf. Krzyzewski played tennis. But for fans connecting very simple dots, you're out playing golf while Jimmy Joe Jackson is decommitting from us. Why are you playing golf? Why are you not making him stay with our program? It's personal. According to Stahl, Freeze posted 10 rounds since the start of June and has maxed out the number of public rounds that the USGA's database will show at one time, meaning he's over 20 in a calendar year. So what the guy did was, like here in Indiana, you go to the Indiana Golf app. The Indiana Golf app, you download it, you post your score after the round. It gives you a handicap. But what you can also do is go on the Indiana Golf app and look up any golfer with a GHIN number, GHIN number, which is the number you need for a handicap. So all this reporter did was he went and looked up Hugh Freeze, and he saw X number of rounds. And then he looked, and it said he's more than 20. So now Hugh Freeze has a problem. Nobody would care. I mean, let's be honest. Nobody would care, nor should they, if while he was over here playing golf, all of these recruits, the Dylan Taylors of the world, the Davey Hudsons of the world, the Nick Femi of the world, they all came and played for him. Well, if those three came and played for him, it'd be a problem. But you get the point. All three of those top 5 recruits in the country in terms of the world of television coming to work for him. You get the point. Don't be the guy that is perceived as not working hard. Auburn currently, listen to this, has a 78th overall ranked recruiting class, dead last in the SEC for 2026 per 24/7 Sports. Now, what does that mean? Really doesn't mean nothing except that the people in the South care about these recruiting ratings as much as they care about season results. Here's why. Because the teams with the best players win the most championships, and the team with the worst players generally isn't involved in winning championships. Boom. Big recruiting class doesn't guarantee success, but it sure helps. Horse bleep recruiting class doesn't guarantee failure, but it sure helps. So we shall see. We shall see what we shall see. Hey, Brian Kelly never one to shy away from a microphone, never one to take a shot at somebody, even a colleague, maybe even a boss. I think he's taking a shot at Hugh Freeze. Let's hear.
How's the handicap?
You know what? I had other things to do in the month of June. And July can't. It goes quickly.
There you go. There's no way, not a chance in hell, zero shot, that any coach is going to go about the business like some have done before. I can't get up and down from a bunker. I lost $10 to my son the other day. No. These coaches have all seen what's going on with Freeze, and particularly a guy like Kelly, where, let's be honest, LSU Tiger fans getting a little itchy. They're getting a little itchy. Smart. Brian Kelly is nothing if not a smart politician. He comes from a family of politicians. Listen to this. I know that this is that time where people are looking for things to write about. This is Hugh Freeze. And I do love golf. I enjoy playing. But what people don't realize is, I assure you, I never missed a camp day or a recruiting day. Playing defense, huh? Playing defense is bad business. Whether you're a coach, a businessman, anywhere. Don't play defense, but he has to. He has to make sure people think he's working hard. And that is a terrible, terrible spot for a coach or a player. The world must think you are at 4 a.m, first one, last out, 5 low, It used to be LIFO in church, last in, first out. I don't know. But if camp got over at 3 o'clock one day and Jill and I go out at 4:30, we absolutely might do that, meaning play golf. I'm not apologizing for that part of it. My focus is 100% on getting Alabama in that win column this fall. My opinion on this is the second part's fine. But then here's what I would do as an Auburn fan. I'd bring it back on. Well, maybe if you work till 6 at night, or maybe instead of leaving camp, you got on the phone and called recruits, built relationships, got some NIL money. Just because camp is over at 3 doesn't mean that the day is over. We worked camp, and it was a pain in the backside because our camps went overnight. Kids stayed overnight in dorms. You get a lot of kids in dorms, the night never ends. However, Freeze at least stood up and said, yeah, I don't give a crap. You can get mad at me all you want. My wife and I think it's his wife, are going to go play golf. That's just the way it is. Sure, you have to have a personal life. Sure you do. But you cannot be seen as somebody that doesn't work harder than the fans that are rooting for you. They got to think you're maniacal. I mean, when you think about Nick Saban having a 7:30 or 6:30 meeting the day after winning a national championship game, because he has the meeting, because he said we're behind in recruiting. That's what fans want to hear. Urban Meyer. When you think of Urban Meyer, you think of relentless competition, relentless competitor. That's what fans want to hear. I was talking to one of the Indiana assistant athletic directors yesterday at my golf outing. He goes, Dan Signetti's just a ball coach. He said, I don't want to do nothing but coach ball. I don't care about anything else. That's what fans want to hear. Now, hey, man, go out, work 2 hours a week if you're going to win championships, but it ain't going to happen. Nah, it ain't going to happen. Nope. We got some breeding going on. All right, listen to this. Amon-Ra St. Brown's father, John Brown, made some headlines with resurfacing comments he made about the importance of protecting black lineage when it comes to breeding athletes, saying that if parents want to have children that excel in sports, they need to have a black father. Oh, boy. Here we go. Let's listen to John Brown.
What's the question that they ask you most about how you got 3 kids to go D1 and 2 in the NFL?
They want to know, in general, how I did it. I believe in breeding. Look at you. Good athlete. I'm black, mom's white. Now, I don't step on it once. You can't keep stepping on it because you're going to mess it up. You're going to weaken it.
You can't keep cutting it?
Can't keep cutting it. No. No, you in Brooklyn, because Brooklyn's half, you got a chance.
If I cut it one more time, it's over?
You can't keep cutting it. You got to be careful. You can't keep cutting it. You got to think about that. You know what I mean? No.
I like how he's dead ass.
If I'm black, I got the black gold running through my veins. Oh, I'm excited. I'm just going to find the right person to mate with. Right? And if I'm white, I'm saying, let me get one of these brothers around here. If you want to have athletes. If you don't want to have athletes, then just go ahead and just spread your seed wherever.
So why'd you cut it once with us?
Because he could.
I know I can cut it once.
Because he's gold.
I got that black gold in me, and Mama got that big chin and big toes. I said, look, ain't nothing wrong with big toe woman.
Big chin.
There you go, man. Don't cut it, meaning black. Don't put a white person in there. There's really no subtlety in Brown's remarks. He talked extremely poorly about the mother of his children because of the color of her skin. Yet he is the one who elected to breed with her, as he so eloquently put it. For him to then talk negatively about Amon-Ra's fiance because she is half and half is just another layer of ridiculous. It's so ridiculous. But I will say this. My sister just got back from Serbia, and she's like, Dan, I don't know, man. Tall people are having sex with tall people over there because their kids are big. Is John Brown just, I don't know, is he talking facts, Davey, or is he talking nonsense? I don't know. Is he being truthful? And we hear this and we call it ridiculous, or is it ridiculous? I don't know where you at with it.
There's some truth into it, Dan. What I would say is the bad part of how he's phrasing it simply goes on to saying like it has to be a certain color. But obviously, genetics, if you have an athletic father and athletic mother, it is likely going to lead to athletic children. So I can't go with the we have to protect the black lineage. It's obviously a racist remark.
Yeah.
But there is truth in, breeding people that are athletic by having two very athletic parents.
It's funny. I didn't do this on purpose, but I thought about it. My first wife was 5'10" or 11. And, I thought, hey, that's great, right? I mean, if she were 4'10", I'd still married her. It didn't work out after 22 years, but still. And it's really funny. My son, Andrew's about 6'1". My daughter's not tall for a girl, but I did think about it. I didn't think about it until it was like, you're going to get married. All right. She's tall. But so I get the premise, Davey. I do. Seems awful racist. Obviously, right? White dude says that, then he's part of the Aryan nation, right? White dude says that, then he's a whatever, proud boy. I don't know. White dude says that, and now, you're a skinhead, right? Isn't that the way this would work?
It is. And I mean, like, listen, it's one of those things, too, where you look at a lot of the most athletic people, like a little bit of a history lesson. Like some people would say, like, this is a racist remark, but if you study history, for John Brown, likely the descendant of people that were slaves. And when you look at the slaves, they were breeded for bigger, stronger, faster when you look at the laborers. And that's why whenever we talked about recruiting with Hugh Freeze, when you look at the most dense population as far as blue chip prospects, it's generally people in the Southeast. And listen, like people are going to say that these are racist remarks, but it's just if you're looking at the history of where the most athletic people are in this country, that's generally where it falls in line.
Yeah, I disagree. Most athletic people in this country are in Indianapolis, Indiana, damn it. And they used to be in Maryville, Indiana. Damn it. That's where they used to be. Yeah, well, hey, look, whatever. I mean, whatever he did pretty well because he's got athletic kids, so good for him. But anyway, free Teddy. Wait, what? Free Teddy, 2 gloves, Bridgewater. Yeah. The former teammate of Amon-Ra St. Brown is being done dirty. He is. The NFL quarterback and high school football coach who led his alma mater, Miami Northwestern, a traditional power down in the Miami, Southern Florida area. He led him to a championship. In his first season at the helm, he has been suspended for reportedly giving his players impermissible benefits. Here, let me tell you about the benefits. Stay here. Don't leave me. The suspension may stem from a post Bridgewater put on Facebook July 7th. In the post, Bridgewater revealed he covered Uber rides, meals, and recovery services for his players last year. He asked fans to donate and cover those expenses this year so they wouldn't have to come directly from his pocket. Now, I read a little bit of this, and this seems absurd to me. He's helping kids get to and from places. He's helping kids that don't have squat get meals. He's helping kids that can't afford it get the same physical therapy that the kids up here in freaking Carmel get. Wait a second. Time out. That ain't right. I think, all right, I always say this. I'm in front of God. I'm at the pearly gates, and St. Peter is there next to me, and God says, Dan, I see here where you gave kids Uber rides. I see here where you paid for kids' meals. I see here where you paid for kids to get physical therapy. Those kids were your football players, were they not? Yes, sir. That's great. Come on in. I mean, if you're going to tell me it's cheating, I'm going to tell you to suck it. If you're going to tell me that should be illegal, I'm going to tell you to double suck it. Are you crazy? Are you nuts? Please, child, please. Hey, according, and do not tell, two guys, Simmons and Russillo, this, but according to a new study, members of Gen Z, like our guy Nick, are also sick of the NBA's woke political messaging, and it's having a direct impact on the league's crumbling ratings. Furthermore, they also took issue with the product on the court. According to a new survey by Time to Play, 29% of Gen Zers actively support the NBA's league-wide political messaging. Moreover, 33% of Gen Z say they watch less basketball because of it. Here's a part of the article here. Specifically, the survey mentioned anthem protests, association with Black Lives Matter, pride celebrations as examples of recent efforts to weave activism into the NBA's identity. The NBA ratings are down 48% in the last 12 years. They have fallen off a cliff this year. Go ask the Democrats. Be warned, once you detach from regular people in America, you will pay the price. That's Colin Cowherd. He is not wrong. And while political messaging is the NBA's biggest turnoff, Gen Zers are also displeased with the product on the court. Gen Z responders also cited tanking, number of games, overtime format, scheduling, inconsistent officiating for their declining interest in the NBA. Man, officiating, though, I got to say, officiating has been there forever and ever and ever. The pain of officiating. Gen Zers feel that the NBA has become too polished, too pop culture obsessed. They want less focus on celebrities, more basketball. This is per Time to Play, the survey. More basketball. Issues with players and game management is driving young fans away from the sport, with tanking and load management being a major turnoff for Gen Zers. There are also a need for changes to game flow. Fewer games, more consistent officiating. And while some political messaging is appreciated, for others, it's the reason for them to turn the TV off. There you go. Last, before we go to our friend Chad, woke All-Star former Mavs owner Mark Cuban recently joined friend of the show, Justin Termini, and he went off on the NBA allowing its players to compete in the Olympics. Cuban, no likey the Olympics. What? Here's Cuban.
I hated it. I complained about it every single year because in my attitude, guys going to play for the Olympics, Comcast NBC is making billions, right? The IOC making billions, even FIBA making a lot. I don't know exactly. And we're giving all these guys for free and taking all the injury risks. Now, there hasn't been dramatic injuries, but you know, all you need to know is that if a guy is a free agent and hurt, he ain't playing, right?
I mean, but we saw Tatum, who played in that after going to the finals with the Achilles. You saw Halliburton play in it, the Achilles. Embiid plays it at 19 games the year after. Yep. Doesn't that have an impact? Like where you're an owner and you're saying, now, I'm paying Embiid $30 million, $40 million. He plays for the Olympics. He comes from me. He's playing 20 games.
I hate it. And what I would tell David Stern and then Adam, I'm like, you know how in soccer for the Olympics is 21 and under or 22 and under, whatever it is, and then they own the World Cup, and the World Cup's a bigger event. Mm-hmm. I'm like, give them more young kids, right? Do the same thing as soccer. Let the 21 and under play for the Olympics, and then create our own international World Cup. So instead of just the All-Star game, and they were like, well, FIBA, we've got this contract with FIBA. Well, that contract will expire. And then immediately, like, they wouldn't tell me anything. Like, okay, we signed an extension with FIBA. I'm like, because just think how much money is involved, right? And the players, right? Literally, I mean, we could be almost as big as the Soccer World Cup, which is one of the biggest sporting events in the world. You know, in soccer, it's bigger than the Olympics. And so we could do the exact same thing. And I think we should. And I think the players would make a lot more money from it. You can support a lot of the global teams, right, all the different countries. But Adam wouldn't go for it. So that's why I sold my team.
One time I think I had a conversation.
That's pretty funny. The end is that's pretty funny. But look, I'll make it as simple as this. If I'm paying $50 million, which is what players are being paid now, I don't want them playing in the Olympics. Like, I get it, the marketing, I get all that. But if I'm paying that, I don't want them in that.